Morning, mate.
Hello, that's my partner in crime. How are you, mate?
I'm uh, yeah,
Yeah,
trying to
more.
try.
Sounds interesting. Tell me more.
Well, trying to sift through some of the information. I'm waiting for the market open because I've managed to buy a few. Well, I bought one stock. I'm a bit late on what I wanted to buy, but that's the way it is. But I've managed to buy in the right sector, I think. So
Cool.
we'll see how it goes.
Is it
But the
travel sector?
travel sector is an interesting one. Very
I'm sure
interesting one.
buying in the travel sector would be very brave, I would have thought.
Yeah, or very stupid. I think probably the latter. I would suspect
Perhaps, yes.
at this stage. There just
Food
doesn't
and
seem to be any
beverage.
relief.
What
Uh,
else?
well,
Entertainment.
yeah. Actually, food and beverage is where I've gone.
Okay, cool.
I've gone to actually food suppliers. So I Ocado I had, but I sold those because there's an earnings report out today. But I've bought into Tesco, which is one of our big supermarket chains. Basically because they've been ransacked. You know, every time they get any food on the shelves, it's gone. So
Mm.
I think their earnings are going to be pretty good for the next quarter. So yeah, I bought into those. A couple of other companies I'm interested in, which are probably because really, you know, it's not a case of sifting through and trying to get good fundamentals right now. It's basically sort of going right. What is getting affected by this disease, and you know what can you buy that relates to this disease? I don't know if you saw the movement yesterday in the dollar. In fact, forget the movement yesterday. Let's just talk the last one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Probably the last trading, 10 trading period, 10 trading days in the dollar yen. But
That's what I'm looking at
looking at
now.
on a monthly chart, I mean that if it was to close today, that's going to look like an amazing bar
Monthly
for
chart.
further on.
All I got in the monthly chart is a big spinning top
Uh, oh, I mean I'm talking about the bar that is currently forming.
on the monthly. It's a
Yeah,
massive bar come off the bottom of the range. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, huge bar. So that's, I mean, you know, there's no guarantees, is there, that that's going to end up like that? We've got the pound absolutely tanked just to get against the dollar. I mean, the dollar's just the
What a shame.
it's just the big boy in the pack, isn't it, at the minute?
Remember we got into the pound about here somewhere
We
yesterday.
did,
Here, yeah, about here somewhere.
yeah,
We did
yeah,
okay. We did okay.
yeah. Well, that's, I mean, it's that isn't that 5 days in a row the pound trade has worked. What do we?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to have a look at the account, mate.
It's doing pretty well at the minute, though, isn't it?
Yeah, going okay.
Yeah,
Well, and you expect that when it's trending, you know.
yeah,
As long as you don't get tipped into the wrong part of it, then you should get a little bit out of it. And that, of course, is the whole point of the exercise is to get some out of it. And we've got
so.
another one coming today, very shortly.
So that's interesting. So while you're doing your analysis on this, what you're finding is that it works really well in a trending market.
Yes, for sure.
Right,
It
right,
will
brilliant.
also work after an extended period of consolidation,
Okay,
because if we catch the breakout after, obviously, you know, an extended period of consolidation gives rise to a massive breakout.
yeah,
And that's, of course, what we're trying to catch here. But there's no such
yes,
thing at the moment. It's all trend. It really is all
yeah,
trend.
yeah. Well, the FTSE 100 is due to open in about 30 seconds. Overnight, we've had the ECB and the RBA easing further, and
Yeah, another day, another interest rate cut. Used to mean something, Ash. Doesn't anymore.
oh, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, we've seen the FTSE actually um, move a bit. I mean, it's really interesting. You know, we were talking yesterday about why I would go long down here, and it's really because I'm seeing just an accumulation of stocks down here. It seems unable at the minute to break through the lower bound that we saw after we saw that 5 minute hammer a few days ago. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
stocks have just opened up. Let's see what happens here because I am in an interesting scenario here. Yeah, looks pretty good. So, you know, really we're kind of FTSE 100 is continuing to is continuing to struggle. It's just easing back again. But the question is, will all this stimulus actually make any difference? And that's what we're waiting for, isn't it? We're waiting to see whether any of these stocks that have been significantly hammered can actually start getting any kind of bid about them. But I'm just looking across the board and just seeing less selling going on. I've got currently Vodafone up around about 4%, and if we consider consider each sector, I quite like Vodafone in some respects, because Vodafone is to do with communication, and in times like this, you would think that communication is probably very necessary, and probably very in high demand. People want to be able to communicate with loved ones, and maybe even for gaming and all that
business,
kind of thing.
People working from home,
And business, yeah. So you got Vodafone up around about 4% straight out the traps. You got HSBC, the big bank, actually up 2.7%, which is quite interesting considering that the stimulus. EasyJet, we're talking about travel stocks. EasyJet up 2.1% on the day. I wonder what that's about. But last night we had the EasyJet CEO on quite on an important news show, saying that they're going to go bankrupt. He said that the industry cannot survive beyond. I'm not sure what time frame you put on it, but it basically is going to go bankrupt. It's going to go, to the wall. And
it won't be the only one. And I don't mean just aeroplanes or air services. Wow, I've been talking to some business people today, and they are almost on their knees right now.
Yeah,
I mean, they haven't got themselves in a good position because they're carrying debt, but. Wow, if you are carrying debt right now and you've got no turnover, you're poor. That's not funny.
No, absolutely not. I mean, what I was going to say though, EasyJet maybe had a little lifeline thrown to them, because the government, the transport minister has effectively come out and said, look, we won't allow people to go. We won't allow important travel companies to go to the wall. So help is at hand. So EasyJet's currently up. I don't know whether it's off the back of that or not, but they're up 2%. Taylor Wimpey, which is a building stock, is around about flat, which in this kind of environment is a victory. And Tesco, the one that I bought yesterday or the day before, they are up 2.5%. So actually one of the outperformers of the day. And as I say, I like the supermarkets because people need food and they are after food. ITV, another one, which I thought was quite an interesting one, media again. So, if while I'm looking around stocks at the minute, then it's companies that might provide some kind of healthcare for the relief in the fight against the virus. I'm looking at stock. Carnival as well, mate. Carnival, talking about, again about travel stocks. Carnival are up 9% on the day. So I wonder whether that little lifeline that was thrown yesterday by the transport secretary might well be filtering through into some of these travel stocks. I wonder if that seems to be what the market likes.
Who's
and
Carnival?
I have to say,
what do they do?
Carnival are they provide cruise lines and shipping.
Oh, them. Oh, yeah. They're a big mob.
Yeah. Anyway,
Did
sorry,
you
mate.
say
I've
they're
got
up 9%.
They're up 9% on the day. Yeah.
WTF? How does that work?
Well, as I say, I wonder whether the transport secretary might have helped out. I wonder whether, because we are in a situation that stimulus is coming through, whether it's going to be those companies that will jump back the fastest.
But do you mean to tell me, if I don't know what sector you'd be in, but whoever's getting the stimulus, but if you're let's say you're a company director whose company is shut down and you've just got a relief package from the government that says you can, I don't know, whatever they are, you can have an instant write-off on the next capital expenditure or whatever. You're going to jump on a boat and go on a cruise?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, totally. I totally get your angle of questioning. Yeah, it doesn't seem to me that that stuff's going to change soon. I guess what people will be looking at is for those companies to come back pretty sharply. So they are looking at it and going, maybe this is cheap. You know, maybe they can't go any lower down here because there's a possibility that they will get the stimulus and be able to survive. And if they survive, then
I
they're at
mean,
a pretty good
for
base.
them, I hope they do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I hope the world doesn't go to hell in a handbasket. But gee, I reckon there's going to be a few boats or houseboats
Yes.
on sale pretty soon, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would think so too.
I wouldn't like
Was
to
it
pay the
Helen?
mooring on one of them. Gee whiz.
No, was Helen? Well, it's talking about Heathrow shutting down to become an airplane car park. Probably more like an airplane graveyard, really, right now.
They're going to run out of space on these airports.
Yes, they are. Was it Helen talking about Guinness the other day? Somebody was talking about Guinness because of the Irish going to the pub. Diageo stock up 2% currently as well. They've opened up pretty well.
Are you in mono today, Helen, or are you still in stereo? Or did you sort that out? Got a funny feeling you might have been listening on both YouTube and Zoom, but it could be wrong. Could be wrong. Should I give the parameters of this trade before we go any further, mate?
Yes, let's do the trade. Let's do it in a bit of detail as well, because people are probably still trying to work out the pound trade, aren't they? Still keep getting questions about it. So let's go through it nice and slowly, and maybe get the parameters on if you need to do that quickly, and then we'll go through it again slowly.
Righto, guys, all good, back in mono, awesome. What we're trading here is essentially the breakout of not the Asia session, but generally that's going to be the case. If it was the Asia session, we just put an entry here and an entry here. But what we're trying to do is capture the breakout when these three bars here are broken. Why these three bars? It's just a beta test, guys. If it turns out that this is the wrong way to go, and maybe the Asia session breakout is the right way to go, then maybe we change that. And that's why you beta test things. I like to do it forward rather than backwards because I think it takes in exactly what's going on at the moment rather than what's happened in the past. So that's why we're testing this forward, and we're trading it every single day that we trade live. And so far with the new system, since we've traded the last three bars range rather than the last candles range, we're going okay. Numbers look pretty good, but I'll warn you now, the numbers look pretty good when we first started trading this as the last bar as well, break of the last bar. So what we're actually doing is we're putting a range on the high of the last three 1 hour candles prior to London session open. So in this case, that would be that candle, and that candle. Obviously that candle doesn't come into play, but the high of this bar is the high of that range, and the low of this bar is the low of the same range, right? So what we do is we put an entry long, so we buy 15 pips above the high of this candle, and we put our stop loss 10 pips below the low, 15 pips above the high of this candle, and 10 pips below the low of this candle, effectively the range. And I may have got that wrong. It doesn't look right. I'll give you those numbers. So the high of this bar is 1.1609. In fact, I'll just cancel both these. Gonski, and we'll start again. Delete. All right, so let's start again. So here's the range. Here's the high of this bar. Here's the low of this bar. So we'll go with the short just in case that triggers. And the low of this bar, my God, what doesn't show up when you need it? There it is 1.14741. So we round that down to 1.1474, and we deduct 10 pips, and that will be our entry. So it'll be 1.1464 will be our entry for the short. Again, just trade this at a very low risk, guys, if you're going to trade it, because it is in beta mode. You've got a bit to play with from the last few days. So, yeah, act accordingly. I'm not going to tell you how to trade or how to manage your risk, because that's up to you guys. 1.1464. is the entry for the short, which is 10 pips below the low of the range of the last 3 bars, 1 hour bars before London Open. Put our stop loss 15 pips above the high of the range of those last 3 candles. The high for this is 1.16091. We round that up to 1.1610 and then add 15 pips. So that becomes 1.1625. 1.1625. And that is all we need to do. Except it's a sell stop, not a buy stop. Okay, so there's our stop loss, which is 15 pips above the high of the last 3 candles range. And the entry, which we can't see, is 10 pips below the low of that range. Now, all we simply do now is place that in reverse, right? We put a short at 1.1464 and we put our stop loss, sorry, we put a long at 1 point, forget what it was, but let's do it. And we put our stop loss at I remember that one, 1.1464. That's the stop loss for the long. The entry for the long is 15 pips above 1.1625. That now rings a bell. Alrighty, let's place that. So there is our stop loss for the long and our entry for the short, one and the same. There is our entry for the long and the stop loss for the short, again, one and the same. Now, if I'm going to add my experience and common sense to this, then I think that's a bad entry, and I think that's a bad entry. I'd have my entry below here, and therefore my stop loss for the long below here. And I would have my entry for the long above here and my stop loss same place. Then you've got the dilemma, you're trading straight into an untested daily pivot, but we're not doing any of that. This has got nothing to do with analysis. This is to do with trading the breakout, only trading a breakout. That is it, nothing more. So we don't add filters to it. Now, because we're in beta test, if we prove that there is a better way to do this by adding filters, then by all means, let's do that. But at this point in time, it's simply a matter of trading the break of the last 3 1-hour bars prior to London session. When we get triggered, so if we get triggered short here, we would cancel the long order. And if we get triggered long, we would cancel the short order. Immediately we get triggered, we switch to a 15-minute chart and we trail 2 bars. If we get triggered short, we'll trail 2 selling bars. Let's go through yesterday's and I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. I'll use a pen. So, pen cometh here. This was the range of yesterday. That bar, and that bar, as I recall. So our entry was 10 pips below the low of that bar, which was there. Our stop loss was 15 pips above the high of the range, 1, 2, 3. 15 pips above here, which was, I can't quite recall, but I think it was in that vicinity somewhere. So we risked that amount. And as soon as we got triggered, I'm now on a 15-minute chart, we trailed 2 seller bars. So as soon as you've got 2 seller bars after entry, there's entry there. No, there's entry there, actually. We got entered on that bar. So as soon as we've got 2 seller bars after the entry, we trail the stop. So that doesn't count as one because it's the entry bar. That's only 1 seller bar. You've got to have 2 in a row. Don't have 2 in a row here. Don't have 2 in a row here, but I do have 2 in a row here. So as soon as I've got 2 in a row, I move my stop loss from there to there. And I continue to do that whilst ever I've got 2 new seller bars. So 1, 2, move to there. 1, 2, oh, sorry, 1, 2, move to there. Then we got a buying bar. So don't do a thing. Then we got another 2 selling bars. 1, 2, move to there. Then we got a buying bar, do nothing. Then we got another 2 seller bars. 1, 2, move to there. Then we got 2 buying bars. Then we got another 2 seller bars, move to there. Then we got another 2 seller bars, move to there. Then we got another 2 seller bars, move to there. Then we got another 2 seller bars, move to there, etc., etc., etc. And finally, we wound up down here, 2 seller bars. Our stops were here rather. Then we got a rally, still didn't take out our stops. Another 2 seller bars here, stops to there. So when I woke up this morning, still in the trade and looking for more seller bars here, we got them, another 2 there, stops moved to there. And that was all she wrote, because there were no more 2 seller bars. We missed out on the absolute here because price came back and bounced and took us out there. But that's how you trade this. And if it continues to do that, we'll be very, very happy. That's a very nice result for yesterday's trade. Hopefully that continues, as I say. So if there are any questions around that, there are. I can see one from Mike. Why 15 pips above and not 10 pips? It's because of the spreads, Mike, pretty much. When I'm just making allowance for a little bit of slippage there in the spreads above you. So that's why 15 pips. I hope that makes sense to you. Because, you know, when you've got to take into consideration the spreads if you've got a long order in the market, right? Because when you add your spreads to the bid, that's where you're going to be triggered. If there's any slippage at all, then that's why I've just added a few more pips in case there is a little bit of slippage. So that is the reason. I hope that that all makes sense to you. How you doing, Ash? You looking like an entry or no? Yeah.
No, there's not really an entry. I think I think in a very, very interesting price action. Just to get to the point Helen made about Ocado shutting down yesterday. They had so many orders. This is an online delivery, a food delivery service, and Ocado had so many orders that they had to close down their app. And I've just been reading up about Ocado's profit line, and it was a 10%. They were looking at a 10% rise in profits, and that's now jumped to 15%. And really, the fact that they shut down their app just tells us all we need to know. You know, people are out there and they are panicking. You know, they are getting anything that they can get their hands on. They're grabbing everything they can get their hands on. So people are buying up, you know, all the food that they can from Ocado. So Ocado's doing pretty well right now. It's coming back today, which is interesting. And actually, if the earnings, you know, they're going to be pretty good. So there's no doubt about that. But if it comes back significantly enough, I'd like to get back into to those guys. So I'm really looking at individual stocks now. The FTSE. Let's have a quick look at the FTSE. And the pound as well, we can discuss a little bit, but the pound will likely suffer again, or continue to suffer, because Boris Johnson just refuses to halt the Brexit talks, and it is still forging ahead with those. So looking at this FTSE now, it is just slightly above this this daily pivot right now, which is a pretty good sign, but it does have a trend line to get through. I still like this FTSE 100 for a grab to the weekly pivot. It's a fair distance away, but we are starting to see, I mean, it's 600 pips away, but we are starting to see a bit of follow through with you know, the stimulus packages, and the question is, which companies do those stimulus packages help? And you think that the travel stocks are probably, maybe they're doing a little bit better because of that fact, but I'm looking across the board and just seeing, what else is there that maybe the FTSE long that we got into yesterday could be hedged a little bit, and maybe look at something else. I quite like steel companies. I was looking at a company called Evras for a potential sell. Now, unfortunately, people probably, if anybody gets the opportunity to trade the FTSE 100 stocks, then let me know, because if you do, then we can really have a proper section on it. Right now, I feel like I'm probably maybe boring everybody a little bit, talking about things that just aren't really relevant to them. So and I don't want to have to go down that route, but it is pretty obvious that, to me anyway, in this kind of environment, you either trade the FTSE 100 and look for opportunities in single stocks, or you obviously trade trade the currencies which are weakest over the strongest is always the strategy, or you just don't trade through it, because really, and it really depends on how your performance has been to this point. If your performance hasn't been too good to this point, then really it's probably better just not to trade through it and just take it as a period where you can learn in a relaxed way about the markets and how and why they move. This is it's a very difficult thing to trade through, which is the problem, because it doesn't really give us the technical setups keep getting swept aside. But like the FTSE yesterday, as I said, we were long
Don't
from
say
yesterday.
that to me, Ash.
What's that? The technicals
Don't say
are
that
difficult.
to me. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to a degree, and I suppose the only reason I say that is if people don't understand the money management side of it, because actually the technicals are fine with wider stop. They're still working, aren't they? I mean, if we look at the FTSE on a 4-hour chart, then that's a break to the downside. There's a retracement, it comes down. There's a retracement, it comes down. So it is, the trends are really good.
Absolutely.
And they're really clean. But you just got to make sure that when you're trading them, that the stops are nice and wide, and you have to understand that
that's
the volatility.
Trick.
That's the trick, yeah. The question is, do you make as much money in an environment like this? And you will make good money if you are a trend trader, because the trends are continuing. But
if you're risking 250 pips where you normally risk 60,
yeah,
but you're looking for 300 on a 60 pip risk, and you're getting 2,500 on a 200 pip risk.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah. So that's kind of the situation that we're in, I think. But the FTSE has held up fairly well. If we look across the board, gold is really kind of suffering as much as anything else from dollar strength, because if we look at gold in comparison to the pound, for example, then this is the gold chart moving, still fairly strong. Look at it against the Aussie. Probably a little bit of weakness there, but it is, it's doing okay. So gold in itself isn't too bad a commodity. It's not brilliant by any stretch. It's certainly not the outperformer. But the pressure that the gold is feeling from the strength in the dollar, which most currencies are, is really starting to cut through.
Well, it's clear what's happening, really, isn't it? They've just ditched their gold and turned it into dollars.
Absolutely right, mate. Yeah, absolutely right. Everybody's kind of like moving towards cash. It just seems to be the safest place to be right now. The S&P we are seeing here is maybe also starting to show signs and signals of bottoming out. There are some indications that we might be attempting to find some sort of low here. So the relief is probably on. There is some sort of relief rally that is probably on. But it is, it's still quite dangerous, a dangerous play. So I guess what I'm saying is if the S&P is to move to here, then it may well be easier to try and think what stocks are likely to push it here and which are likely to underperform, because there will be, some stocks that pick it up and others which just don't, they don't really take part in the rally. So I guess what I'm trying to do is figure out which stocks are going to take us to these points. Look at the NASDAQ the same. And if I think about the NASDAQ, it makes fairly clear sense to me that we should be looking at probably something like Netflix, Facebook, maybe. for an American company as well. For anything that's going to move the stock values to the upside, because all that might happen is that the really beaten up companies don't get any more beaten up because there's nowhere to go. But the companies that might actually do okay out of this period do actually have a fairly decent rally, and you know, and it would be, for me, it'd be companies that are on the digital platforms, as we were talking about the other day, and somebody mentioned Zoom, which I thought was a great shout. I haven't looked at Zoom charts since then, and I might just do that, because if Zoom is to move to the upside, it probably needed to cut back a bit. It was quite high, wasn't it? But we should probably have another look and see.
Yeah,
if
look,
it's,
I think it's a great way to approach trading at the moment, and I 100%, you know, tick tick tick. If you're a full-time trader, I would highly recommend that you're doing that at the moment. You know, looking outside the box and and trying to get ahead of the curve, because by the time right now, if you haven't been short gold, if you haven't been short oil, if you haven't been short stocks, then you're scratching your head going, oh, do I now trade because we're potentially got a bottom, or do I sell the rallies? You know, that they're the kind of dilemmas. And if you're looking at selling the rallies, you know, you missed out on, you know, a 20 to 30% drop in value.
the problem.
You're going, oh my God, you know, and as a trader, there's no way I can do that.
Yeah.
Because I'm too late. I know I'm too late. And if it goes another 20%, so be it.
Absolutely, mate. And do you know what? The other aspect of this is that oh yeah, okay. Do you know what? Let's talk about some more stocks in a moment. But yeah, just another way to think about this is that if we can get ready for the rally, which will come. Now, we don't know how long it'll be. It might be a year before we get a genuine rally back to the upside.
But if we can, before then.
Yeah, well, I mean, it may well. We just don't know. We don't know how long this is going to take. But the point is, I mean, and do you know what? It doesn't have to be a year, by the way. I mean, I've just seen that. I've just seen a report from Burberry, which is a UK-based clothing company, luxury clothing company, and they're saying that
sounds like a whiskey.
Burberry, yeah, it does a bit, yeah, yeah. But they're saying that sales in China have really picked up, and yet in Europe and in America they're suffering. So if China's picked up, and they were the ones that started this whole thing off, even if we count it back in December or slightly before, China are having a turnaround within 6 months. And they have given Europe the model and America the model of how to turn this around. Now, it is a slightly different situation, of course, because
their potentially a time frame, Ash, as well.
Yeah. Well, they could, we could be pretty much seeing not necessarily the back of this, but the control of this within 6 months, if steps are taken correctly. Now, it looks now that the steps are being taken correctly. We got shutdown of schools on Friday over here. But the world has to do it, because there's no point in Europe managing to close its borders and significantly reduce the risk from the coronavirus, and Africa just being a melting pot, because as soon as the borders are back open, it's just going to go again. And I also know now of people that have got the disease twice, got the virus twice.
Oh, really?
So it looks like it. Apparently now that is slightly hearsay, because it was my cousin told me that they know somebody that got it twice, and I'm not denying that she is telling me the truth, but I don't know where she got her information from. Mm-hmm. So she does work for St. John's Ambulance, so it might be she may well be on the ground and connected, but apparently she says that some people have got it twice. So it's possible that this thing will go around and come back again, and it will only work if we all do it as a global push against it. So we can do it, and that means that when stocks come back, we need to be prepared. Now, Crystal's saying by pharma producing hydrochloro, can't pronounce that.
I'm glad you took that one on.
Yeah, anti-chloroquine one.
Hydrochloroquinone.
Is that what it is?
I think it sounds good.
Well done, mate. Okay, so Holland's in slowdown, yeah, but lockdown, yeah. So and that's what everybody needs to do, and we'll get through this a lot faster. Um, let's have a look at oil as well. So let's think about stocks. You know, what else? What else could you? Now, the ones that I would think would be a better better play. Dividend planes, Kraft Heinz, IAG, no, IAG and Shell, they'll be poor because IAG is the international airlines group. So I wouldn't be investing in travel stocks just at this stage, just yet. You could be right in future, but not just yet. Yeah, it is PL. Very difficult for me, anyway. So I would think in the medical stocks, if you want, in medical profession field, anything that's going to be producing some kind of respiratory equipment, because it does seem to be something that attacks the lung. So oxygen seems to be quite an important factor with this. I can't find a company right now. I've been through a few hundred companies over the last few days, and I haven't found the right one. I thought I found it yesterday in a company called it was called something rubber, but what they make is
Ansell make rubbers.
It's not rubber. It's that they make respiratory systems for the army and for the military. So it's like it's gas masks and stuff, and I thought they'd be kind of good, but I don't know. I think they might be okay. They might be fairly solid. Brilliant balance sheet. So I think through this they could be pretty good. But I'm looking for a company that is going to be highly used during this period, and this is why I like the supermarket stocks at the minute. But I'm certainly open to suggestions. Kreins Haft, I agree with. IAG definitely not right now because of the travel aspect of that. Shell, again, same thing. I think the fact that oil's where it is, I don't think Shell would be too good a stock to go with right now. Is it too early to buy into stocks like Dow, Apple? I would think so, Chris. Yeah, I would think so. We could have a look at that sort of thing in a moment. But yeah, Netflix I still like. Haven't looked at those today yet. But
my answer to that, Chris, is what reason do you have?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, yeah, good point. Good point. What would be the reason to buy into Apple? Because to say something is cheap is it's a difficult one because we all use that term.
But I want more than that,
Yeah, because the thing is, you have to ask, why is it cheap, or why is it where it is?
Yeah,
why is the price where it is? And it is there for a reason. Yeah, it's only cheap when the market has miscalculated the earnings and the profit that they and the dividend return, the return of investment that they're going to get. And I would say right now you're probably going to get very little return on investment. So it's not cheap just yet. It's probably fair value. So I don't think Apple would be a good one. I get your thinking, but Apple would be, I think, a bit of an avoid right now. I just don't see people going out and buying iPhones. They're much more likely to be staying indoors and utilizing. Yeah, I did look at that site. Give me some. But yeah, you're right though. Jeff maybe, but buy some stocks in Jeff. He's not a manufacturer, but he is in the supply chain. So
they've stopped my supply, and I think I've got enough left until they get me some more. But and I don't believe it. It's just amazing. What, WTF again? What
yeah.
Why?
Yeah, totally.
This is a respiratory thing, not I nearly said anal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
what's your bum chum?
Now, I just want to show you Netflix really quickly because I really like the possibility of trying to buy into Netflix. I think the issue when I was looking at Netflix yesterday, it seems to me that there might well be a little bit lower to go before we kind of hit the area that could be of interest. But watch out for Netflix around about this price down here. Looks like a price point of around about 260. It's at 315 right now. So if we still want to be looking at technical levels, throughout all this, it's going to give us a much and this is why Jeff quite rightly picked me up on the fact that saying technicals aren't I can't exactly remember the way I put it, but maybe technicals can't be trusted so much is wrong. You can and you should, because if you have a
If you've got a
reason to
system,
buy, if you got a system, yeah, and if you have a reason to buy into something, you're still waiting for that technical pattern. We're not going to go, right, we all like Apple, or we all like Jeff's toilet paper company or whatever. We're not just going to go buy into it. We still need, the financials are going to be a little bit difficult to read, to be fair, but we still need those levels that the algorithms and the robots are likely sitting at.
you've also got to think of this, Ash. I think if, and good point here from Mike. Let's say 3 months is we've gone through the peak, we've come out the other side.
Yeah.
What happens to everybody who's bought 6 months worth of toilet paper at 3 months levels? They're not going to buy any more toilet paper. So the same company that just went up like, I nearly used another word, that went up very, very rapidly. They're going to come down just as quickly because they won't have any sales.
Right. So that I think this is the interesting thing about what you're saying, and absolutely right on the money. So while we're looking at things like Ocado, Ocado sales were just skyrocketing, and we probably, even though we are looking at, or even though that I'm looking at certain stocks to buy, the likes of the supermarkets, am I looking at this for a 3-month out thing? Well, it's possible. It's possible because their earnings are going to be decent, and actually maybe they are a buying opportunity across the board while people use them. But you're absolutely right. The big
bank,
orders,
when you get in front, bank something,
yeah, because the big orders that are coming out from these companies are probably early. These orders are early. People are panicking now, so they'll stockpile toilet paper, they'll stockpile rice, pasta, baked beans, the unperishables, effectively. But within, I don't know, maybe 2-3 weeks to a month, then everybody that's gone crazy to sort of like basically sort of like get enough for the next 3-month period won't be buying. They'll be sort of like, they'll be drip feeding in, from here on in. So you're absolutely right. I think we see the surge early, but if we're looking for something longer term, then I don't think we find it in this market. Personally, I think we really are just going, right, I've got an idea. This could be a short-term play. Let's play that for a little while, and then we will we'll look at something that is a genuine investment. But right now that's going to be quite difficult to find, I would suspect.
Agree with you, Helen. But I'm kind of led to believe, and Paul Bottrell came up with a good point on Sunday in our preview show. They're using it for tissues.
Yes.
So yeah, they're thinking outside the square, I suppose. I don't know, but yeah, it kind of mystifies me. And the orders that are coming in from, I live on an island, right, below the mainland Australia, and I'm getting orders from all over Australia. Unbelievable. And I'm not sending it to them because I'm keeping them for my own customers. But that's how crazy it is. I just don't believe it.
Yeah. Madness. I mean, this is, I don't want to get kind of like too distracted, but is this proving to be quite good for you, actually, mate?
No.
Is it not?
Well, as I said, I'm just keeping it from. Look, our turnover is greater than usual.
Yeah.
But even the parent company from whom I buy have put their prices up. Right. I'm going again. How many times have I gone WTF today?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
That's just profiteering. So my price is exactly where they were, and I'm only serving my own customers and reserving, the stocks for them.
Yeah.
I don't see any benefit in profiteering from what really at the end of the day is going to be a very, very bad time for a lot of people. So
yeah, agreed.
I don't think it's responsible to go out there and do that. And I refuse to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, well, we haven't gone around the
Charts.
grounds. The charts, yeah.
There we go.
Let's go around the grounds, mate, and see what's out there. See if there are any opportunities that are tradable today. Everybody throw your ideas in as always. We'll see what we got. We will look at.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
I
you,
would say
guys.
food delivery. Yeah, I'd definitely, Mike. I'd say food delivery service is great at this time for buying
Yeah,
stock.
absolutely. I'd be onto that. I think, and I've seen evidence of that. You know, you got Uber Eats, and I think there's a few other companies that do that as a regular basis. But what I'm seeing now is the restaurants themselves are doing their own deliveries.
Yeah,
So you know they're under extreme pressure. So obviously they're cutting down costs and away they go. So yeah, I get that. Totally get that. And I'm probably the second worst person on the planet to talk about investing in the stock market. Just second worst. You know why? I haven't found the worst one yet. That's why. So logic. Oh, great question. Logic and trading. Sometimes they're poles apart, Mike. I was going to address the question. What was it? Oh, is Oz okay with COVID-19? Oz is like everywhere else, Crystal. We've pretty much gone into lockdown. In fact, I think the borders now are, don't quote me on this, but I heard just before we came on air that the Prime Minister has now shut down the borders for anybody who is not returning home. That may be a little bit embellished, but I think that's exactly what the message was. Certainly where I live in Tasmania, if you, like everywhere else, if you now are returning home, you just go into a 14-day lockdown. Self-imposed, I might add, which is kind of like being half pregnant, I reckon. Why don't you got to lock them up? You know, get them out of here.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't want this disease in Tasmania. Come on. This is the nature state. This is where everything beautiful happens. Pristine waters and pristine air and all. Why are they polluting us? That's why I moved
Yeah.
here. And I guess
Well,
there's a whole lot of people around the world asking that exact question and trying to, and that's what the governments are now challenged with. They've just got to stop these things coming across borders. And that's a challenge. And that's why the airlines are in so much trouble. Dear,
yes.
oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, let's try to talk about currency just for a little bit. And look, I don't have a lot for you, a lot that's new anyway. It's very much a case of same. But there are some interesting ones I'm trying to share here. There we go. So yeah, nothing's really changed, but there are some nice little pickings about. And was it in the show yesterday? Aussie Kiwi? Did I trade that in the show? I can't remember. I think I showed you. I showed you the trade because it goes into the private box. What's our private box called? The 2-minute brief. That was yesterday. Actually, I can't share that with you guys. I don't think. No, I can't. But I was calling for Aussie Kiwi yesterday, and we did trade that and got to target on that one. That was nice. What else was there? I think there was dollar Swissy. I can't remember. There's dollar Swissy today. I'm letting you in on a secret there. There's dollar Swissy today, and I don't think I found an entry yet. Why do I like it? Because of break and retest of monthly pivot. You've got to get your entry above DR1. So above here, I kind of like that for long, guys. That's just a little insight into what I'll be looking for today. Why do I like it? Because holy dooly, there's a whole big gap above it. If we can find that range, that's why. It's the same thing I said about Aussie Swissy months ago. If we can get back up, even into this range here that's been for the longest time, if we can get to the top of that, there's something like how many pips? If we got in here, say, yeah, there's about 300 odd pips without too much effort, I would have thought, for maybe a risk of 50 odd, something like that. So that could be worthwhile if we can find a way into that. Because it's a major, I can talk about that today. So I like the fact it's one of my favorite plays to trade. I call it a double cross, break, retest with 2 decisive bars. If you put your entry a little bit tight there, you probably would be not feeling too good about that trade at the moment. In fact, you'd probably be in all sorts. But my counsel would be get your entry above the top of that bar and get your stop loss below the low of that bar. If you're at all keen in going long dollar Swissy. Not on the small time frame though, on the bigger time frame. Look, everything the stars are starting to align, guys. They really are starting to align. I'm starting to see potential trades. Euro dollar has given me, well, it's not there yet, but it's a potential double bottom. And don't forget, I'm still short this. Those of you who were in this trade, we traded this bar here. We've taken TP1 here. We've taken TP2 here. And we are trading this for free, looking for this area down here. So time and motion, who knows, but somewhere around about the 106.50 mark, I would have thought is a good out for this. There's another 200 odd pips in this one if we can stay in it. That was a big candle to trade, and I don't think the reward, justified the setup really. And I said that at the time. I said this is a very poor reward to risk trade, and that's why I was a little bit, do I take it, don't I take it? But we did take it, and that's going okay. As I said, TP1 and 2 have been hit, so it's a free trade, and we can only win on that. It's just a matter of how much. If I'm not in a trade on euro dollar, what do I think? I think just be careful. Reason? It looks like a potential double bottom here. But when I think about reversals, I think about clarity, absolute clarity. It doesn't look like something; it is something. So it's an exact. It's not a maybe. If you start saying maybe, you're second guessing yourself, and it really, in my mind, does not pay long term. So what I'd be looking for here on any one chart is a clear signal that this is a potential reversal. Okay, we've got a bullish engulfing bar here. That's a start, and a potential higher low here. That's a second reason to think that we can go long here, or reverse if you like. We're at a strong level, or are we? So it depends on where you look. And, if you look on the bigger picture, are we really at the strongest level? And my answer is no. The strongest level on this chart for me is the bottom of this range. I call it a range. It's a descending channel. So that's the strongest level on this chart that I can see. And where we are right now is not a bad one either. Actually, I'll retract that statement. This is the strongest level on the chart I can see. It's been strong support here. It's been strong resistance here until it finally broke through. So I can totally get why you'd want to trade this on a short, on a small time frame long, if you're of that opinion. I don't actually see that just yet. Yes, I see the bullish engulfing bar. Yes, I see the potential higher low. Candle's way too big to trade for me. I wouldn't be interested. So I'll give that one a miss. Dollar yen. Wow, what a cross, or it's not a cross, it's a major pair. Yeah, look, wow. As you said, Ash, that bar is just unbelievable. It really is.
It is. Yeah, it is. I mean, there's still, just looking across the board, actually, stocks aren't doing too badly today. They're holding up. So maybe not the day to get into a dollar yen trade long. Difficult one though, isn't it? Because the dollar is now kind of the seen now as the safe haven. We've been looking at the yen as a potential safe haven, but
not only that, we've just spoken about it earlier. And hat off to Julian. He's been speaking about this for the longest time. The worldwide shortage of US dollars.
Yes, he has.
And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that because everyone's getting out of gold, everyone's getting out of stocks, everyone's getting out of oil. What are they doing? They're changing it into US dollars.
Yeah.
So there ain't none left. And that's why it's high. It's why it's rallying.
Yeah.
And how do we reverse that?
Which is crazy, isn't it? You know, we see stimulus packages and yet it's doing nothing to weaken the dollar.
And that's how Donald will reverse that. He'll just keep printing the stuff.
Well, he's struggling. I mean, you know, the stock market has seen such a rout. Not even Donald Trump is benefiting right now, which you know, he's got a lot of work to do to turn this around, which he will do. You know, everything that he can, no doubt. But will it work in time for the elections?
Great question. But that's prime motivation number 2 for him. Prime motivation number 1 for him is his fortune. And anybody who doubts that is kidding themselves.
Yes.
In my opinion. So yeah, he'll do what's good for Donald. And if it coincides with the country, then I'm sure everything will be rosy in the US land. But yeah, you know. So think business, think stocks, think the price of the US dollar. Yeah, for the Donald, he's got no idea outside of that, I don't think. Anyway, so to trade US dollar for me, dollar yen for me is also very simple. If I've got a bias in any way, shape, or form, I'll use that. This looks interesting. We've had this is a small time frame, right? 30-minute time frame. So we've got a double top sitting here and a potential lower high. I'll call it an untested daily pivot because really daily pivot came to price rather than the reverse. I can see the potential for a short here. But when I say that, people think that I'm a bear. Incorrect. All I'm doing is trying to trade an opportunity to get to a level, in this case, a support level, which is the daily pivot. It's also got a little bit of form across the board here. So I can totally see that. G'day, Casey Lee. I've also got a reason to think that the market can come to here. All I need is a trigger, and that trigger doesn't appear to me right now. But let me point out to you what I will look for going forward. So we've got, I'll call it a trend line for want of a better word. It's a 30-minute chart, so it's a 30-minute trend. If that were to break, take out the low here and then retest the trend line, sorry. Those of you who are not in my strategy won't know what a trade line is, and I totally get that. I would be looking to short this down to here, but only to here. I've got no reason to trade through that level. So if I can get like a 15 pip risk, and let's say we hit there with a 30 pip risk, and I can take 57 pips out of the market. Why not? That's nearly 2 to 1. Why not? That'll do me just fine. So that's what I'll be looking at on dollar yen. I'm drawing this out, guys, and I don't mean to, but it's exactly the way I trade. Pound US dollar. This is absolute. If I could take a picture of this, I would. Well, I probably can. This is exactly what you want to see. We've got a market structure here that I dream of. We've got a double bottom here, clear double bottom. We've got a base that's formed clearly. We've got a range as well. We've got a box range sitting here that just couldn't be any clearer. So let me draw that in. How good's that? You might think, okay, I can't trade that because it's ranging. This is just perfect for me because of the way I trade. When I go down to 30-minute charts and I see that sort of thing, I'm absolutely looking to trade it to the top of that range. And as soon as it gets to the top, looking to trade it back to the bottom of that range. And it's always going to be the same. If I get a double bottom, I'm looking for a higher low, or if I get a reversal bar off the top, I'm looking for a lower high, and I'll trade it to there. Then I'll look to trade it back to there until it breaks. So what am I looking for now? I'm looking for a higher low. If I get a higher low, I'll look to trade it to there. It's not there right now, but I'm just giving you the ideas, guys. There's nothing there that interests me on the 30-minute chart for the Aussie, but that said, it's also in kind of great territory for me. Why? Because it has taken out this low here. That excites me, and it's hit this major support level. You can see it's been support through here, resistance here, resistance here. I think this is a great level to look for a bounce for the Aussie. Now, I know we've cut interest rates again today, but hasn't everyone? We got a great number on unemployment today. Does that count anymore? I'm not sure, because really that's an indicator for the Reserve Bank to say, okay, let's raise interest rates or cut interest rates, or it's a factor that they look at. I'm not sure it really matters at all, but the market will not overlook that number, I don't believe. It's a 0.2% percentage point reduction in unemployment. That's got to be good news. Guess what? That won't be the same next time, I can assure you, because everyone that's now looking at being out of work is going to be out of work. There's no question about that. But for now, that doesn't look too bad. How do I get into this is the big question. And again, exactly the same thing applies. I've got to see something of a structure. There's the tiniest little double bottom sitting here, maybe a tweezer bottom if you like. We've had a rally. We've had a retest of what? I'm not sure. Even on a 30-minute chart, I can't see a level here. Maybe the daily support 1 level. Is there room for me to look for a break here? No, because if I were to trade a break here, I'm trading straight into an untested daily pivot in the biggest bear market you've ever seen. Why would I do that? That's crazy. It just doesn't make sense. You've got to let these levels break and then be retested, give you a higher low in order to trade it. You could call that a higher low. And if you got in here, maybe that was the way to go. And I didn't, but that's the kind of thing that I'd be looking for. But take profit early, definitely before the daily pivot. Again, sorry, I'm dragging this out. Dollar CAD, I've been looking for this to go short, but with a caveat that oil has to rally, and how the heck oil rallies at the moment, I've got no idea. So I really can't convince myself without a really strong signal that this is going short. I think maybe a bounce off here, and if I got an equal high, maybe, wow, this would be the smallest head I've ever seen, but it's a clear left shoulder. If we got a right shoulder here, maybe it's worth trading back to this area. But wow, you've got to have big kahunas to be trading dollar CAD short at the moment, I can say. But that's the way it is. And that's what I'm saying. If it's not clear, don't trade it. Dollar Swissy we've spoken about. And finally, the Kiwi versus the US dollar. Not sure. Really not sure. I don't know if the Kiwi's got enough ballast in the tank to go long. But I do note this. We've had a little tweezer bottom, or it's only a very small time frame, 30-minute chart, and a higher low. It's exactly the same as we just looked at, isn't it? And that was probably a reason to go long. But where do you take profit? You got to take profit here at this level. I didn't. Wasn't looking, but that's the kind of thing you're looking for. Double bottom, higher low, get in the market, get out of it as quick as you possibly can, or not so much out of it, but get yourself safe in the market as quick as you possibly can. And then if you get a bonus, happy days. That's cream on the cake. Ash, again, it's probably education rather than trading, but I've just got to be patient and wait.
Yes, I think that's wise counsel, mate. I think that really is where we're at, isn't it? Just as you say, just got to be patient and take the trades that do become obvious to us. So
Pound CAD short, same story. I can't get with a strong CAD right now because of oil. If oil rallies, then okay, I'm going with you, but I can't get Can't get excited about pound CAD short. And I'm not going through minors at the moment. So this shows about the majors for me. How about pound US dollar future? Ash, do you want to comment on that? Because really you're in a far better position to do so than I. In terms of technicals, I can totally see that we are at historic lows. And whenever I see historic low, and this is what I've been waiting for, right? Wait for this break to the short side. As soon as it gets back above that level, it's a buy for me. But until that happens, I've got nothing. I can't buy here. I can't sell here. There's no shorts, no longs. I've got to wait till it comes back and then retest that level before I can get long. Sorry, mate. That's from a fundamental viewpoint.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's from a fundamental viewpoint. You've got to look for the shorts for the pound. I don't think you can go in here because it's so low. But if you look at the pound, I mean, look at the pound well, you got it on a monthly chart. There's open water now, isn't there?
Yep.
I mean, you know, there's going to be. I'm gonna just have a look at. Have you got how far back does that go there, Jeff?
I can only go back to 98.
98. Okay, let me see how far back I can go here. On the pound dollar. Pound dollar, here we go. Where are you? UP USD, here we go. Right, let's have a look.
Awesome, John. Thank you. That's great.
So this is the I'll tell you what, if you share, give me the screen for a little while, mate. Let's have a.
How much are you going to pay me? It's overtime, Oh.
All right. So this is the pound dollar now. Let's bring this on to monthlies and have a look at this. The low is at 106, and that was in 85. And I think what's in the way now? Nothing.
I was 29 then.
You were 29 back in 1985. There you go.
Yep.
So
I've
when
actually
Jeff
got
was
an LA
29,
Rams shirt that's got Pine 85.
oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, so you're an LA Ram, are you?
Long story, Ash, and if my wife's close by, I probably can't tell it to you. But
Okay.
I'll tell you in Bali how I got Pine 85 on my back.
Okay, and does that mean that when you watch the American football scores come in, you always look for how the Rams are doing?
Yeah, I kind of one eye closed, one eye open. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Greatest show on turf, apparently. But we do have this potential level down here. So looking back to 1985, which, you know, we're in a climate which means that we could actually get back down there again. Most areas do get tested. So 105 looks to me like a potential level for the pound. And until we see 105 with the way things are, unless things can fundamentally change, then I wouldn't be trading the pound long. I think if we get to 105, then you can expect a significant bounce at that point. So anything that goes to the upside with the pound, I'd still be looking to shove it down, because, you know, getting under this level yesterday does give us some huge, as I say, it just gives us that open water to get down there. So looking for pound shorts, I think, would be the opportunity, but it's extremely oversold down here. So you're going to be fairly brave to get in here and probably need pretty deep pockets. So you're still going to have to wait for a pullback and do all that stuff. But if it comes, you know, if the pullback comes and it looks attractive, then why not? You know, why not be looking for pound shorts? Maybe even at the daily pivot could be the first opportunity. Nice clean trend yesterday, though. Not yesterday, sorry. This month so far. Really nice clean trend to the downside. Continues to bounce the downside. And we haven't really had anything in the way of detail which is reversing the direction of travel with this stuff. And I suppose that's the big issue. You know, we've got central banks really kind of coming out and proposing help, but they are not really cheering up the market at all right now. So you got to look for pound shorts. Dollar yen looks like a fantastic long trade. If that bar closes as it does, if this ends up looking like this by the month end, then that is going to be a huge signal to the market to be in a buy zone. This really does become anything above this level is probably going to be picked up, looking like a really strong signal. We're still only on the 19th of March, so we got a little way to travel yet, but that looks pretty good, right?
I hate high test bars followed by low test bars. It's my pet hate.
Yeah, but look at
it
how
hasn't
different
formed yet. It's kind of there, but yeah.
Yeah, but they're massively different as
Oh
well,
yeah,
aren't they, Jeff?
yeah, true story.
That one,
yeah.
That one is just, that is a huge signal. When you think about that bar in comparison to this one, which did promote some upside, to be fair,
and
comparison to this one.
That counts as well. Two of them.
Yeah.
Is pretty interesting.
But absolutely is.
Month hasn't closed, so yeah.
No, month hasn't closed as yet. So that's
Mike. I think you're right. GMT +2 is IFS's MT4 timing. Thank you, Helen.
Currently GMT +3. Yeah, that's going to change on Sunday.
Currently +3 changing on Sunday, or currently +2 changing on Sunday?
Currently +3 changing on Sunday to back to +2. Yeah.
Happy days. I think we're done with questions, mate.
I think we are. Okay, that's amazing. Okay, I've done.
My goodness.
Okay for my second week,
but I can't.
Yeah, well, this is it. We're kind of enjoying ourselves at the minute. I have to say, you guys make a massive difference to the show. Getting involved. This is sort of all of our show, really, isn't it? That's the way it needs to become, and that's the way it is.
That's why we're here. That's why we do it. Yep.
That's why we do it. Exactly. John, well done, mate. So
actually, I'm telling a few guys, we do it because Ash and I like to get together around about this time of day when the market's open and we can have a little chat. And you know what? I highly recommend that you guys, if you're starting out your trading, hook up with somebody that you can not necessarily got the same view as you and trade the same as you. But I think it's very, very valuable. Certainly, that's why Ash and I do it really at the end of the day. And we just invite you guys in so that you can ask us some questions. And you know what? The more questions you ask, the more we learn as well. It's awesome.
That's absolutely right. But maybe we are everybody's company, mate. We're all kind of in it together, aren't we? Really? I mean, we love getting together, but maybe everybody out there likes getting together with us and each other.
Great, and I hope that continues. If it does, then we're in a pretty good space, and I like it.
John, that's amazing, mate. And risk management is absolutely the key. Now, the thing is, you're 2 weeks in, and I would suggest that every single weekend. Now, you want to do it every single weekend, and this is the thing. Trading can really trick you into thinking when things are going well that hold on, this stuff's pretty easy. And
then piece of cake.
Yeah, then all of a sudden you kind of hit the wall, and then you really got to dig deep, and that's where you find out a lot about yourself and a lot about your trading. So I would suggest that every weekend, reset. What was your approach when you went into the last weekend? You want to reset. It really is. It's quite meditative sometimes, trading, isn't it, Jeff? In some respects, I mean,
it sends me to sleep. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, reset every weekend and go back to make sure that you are ready to trade. I wish we were allowed to play music on this show because I'd love to gear us up every morning with something kind of pumping.
Rachmaninoff in a theme of Paganini. Yes, that would
be something like that. Exactly. Okay, we will call it for now.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, look, there's good reason for it, though. Everyone and every man his dog, and don't think for 1 second that gold won't rally. It will. The reason it's not at the moment is that everyone's getting out of wherever they were, oil, gold, stock market, and buying dollars. That's why it's all happening. It's all about cash right now.
Yeah, they're covering themselves. That's what's exactly what's going on. Everybody's just sort of like running for cover right now. But yes.
Righto, let's wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for your company and your questions and your involvement in the show. We really do enjoy it. It does make our day and our week, and we really appreciate it. We'll be back with you on Monday.
That's
Have a
right.
great weekend.
Same show time, same show channel, 5 to 8 Monday.
Don't be late. That's the date. See you guys. Have a good weekend.